So everyone's talking about the Galaxy S26 Ultra, and what looks like its biggest upgrade might actually turn out to be a downgrade. And when you stack it against Apple's latest move, Samsung could be in trouble. Plus, we've also got official CAD renders of the S26 Pro, and they don't exactly line up with the earlier reports. There's a lot to cover, so let's jump right in. So far, Samsung's keeping the wide and 5x telephoto pretty much the same, just a bump in aperture. But the only real upgrade is on the 3x telephoto lens. Samsung's replacing the old 10-megapixel sensor with a 12-megapixel one, which gives you about a 20% bump in resolution. And honestly, fans were pretty excited about this. After all, Samsung hasn't touched that 3x telephoto sensor since the S22 Ultra. It feels like Samsung's finally giving us the upgrade that's long overdue. But is it really? Here's where it gets interesting. Even though it's a 12-megapixel sensor, turns out Samsung's only going to use 10 megapixel of that resolution. Now, on paper, that doesn't sound terrible. You could argue we're still getting a newer sensor, but here's the real problem. Samsung ditched Sony's sensor from the S25 Ultra and switched to an ISOCELL one in the S26 Ultra. And here's the shocking part. This new sensor is even smaller. A smaller sensor means a smaller pixel size. Sure, that might give you sharper daytime shots, but when it comes to low-light photography, and let's be real, Samsung already struggles in low light, this might just make it worse. So yeah, what looked like a win might actually be a step backwards. Meanwhile, Apple's over here doing the exact opposite. While Samsung's busy roasting iPhones, Apple quietly nailed it with the iPhone 17 Pros. They swapped the 5x lens for a 4x, but upgraded the resolution to 48 megapixels. Not only is that a bigger sensor, but it also goes up to 8x optical zoom using some clever sensor cropping tricks. Compare that to Samsung, which maxes out at 5x using 2 dedicated telephoto sensors. And yes, I know, Apple's 8x isn't pure optical zoom, but with that 48 megapixel resolution, it's still far better than what you'd get digitally. Honestly, Apple really pulled ahead this time. And since the S26 Ultra is already close to mass production, Samsung doesn't have time to copy this move unless they hit the panic button. So with this so-called 3x upgrade turning into a downgrade, what are we really getting? It's disappointing, especially when Chinese brands are already shipping Samsung's latest camera sensors, while Samsung's own $1,300 plus Ultra keeps using the same old ones. Sure, the S26 Ultra is slimmer and lighter than before, but does anyone really care? And what's the point of a giant camera bump if we're not getting meaningful sensor upgrades? Apple's moving in the opposite direction, giving fans what they've asked for: bigger sensors and bigger batteries. Rather than copying every move, this is where Samsung should be taking notes. Now, let's switch gears to the S26 Pro. The new CAD renders of the S26 Pro are here. Most of it looks exactly like what we've already seen, but there's one twist worth pointing out. Earlier reports said it would be around 6.7 millimeters, but these new renders show it closer to 7 millimeters. It's still thinner than the S25, but honestly, if the phone gets real upgrades, who cares about 0.3 millimeters? And speaking of upgrades, both the S26 Pro and the S26 Edge are getting battery upgrades and are expected to get a huge jump in the ultra-wide camera from 12 megapixel all the way up to 50 megapixel. Now that's the kind of upgrade we actually like to see. Samsung's also shaking up the lineup. They're dropping the base S26 entirely, but next year we might get 2 Fold 8 variants instead. Click right here to check it out in full detail. This is Techtics, and I'll see you there.